a night it was in Coral Gables at the Watsco Center as Luke Laux and his Florida State basketball team, they brought that unconquered spirit, did they not, in a big-time way. These guys have been coaching their tails off. The players have been fighting hard. And last night they went out and finished off the Miami Hurricanes for the 15th time in the last 16 meetings. Florida State knocked them out, winning 65-63. And we're going to talk about it all night tonight here on the program. Welcome to Inside Seminole Basketball. Great show for you. Please, a big round of applause for the head man of the Noles, Luke Laux, everybody.
I appreciate it.
Coach, great to see you. Congratulations on the first ACC win. And I know when we talked about this, the emotion around playing both Miami and Florida, there's a little more juice to it in that rivalry matchup. And, man, your guys brought that juice for 40 minutes last night.
Yeah, growing up in Florida, obviously attending Florida State, playing in these games, we know what it means to play against Miami. Similar to play against Florida, there's just a little something extra in the game. And I was looking around the locker room before the game, and I realized we don't have a lot of Florida kids. And we're obviously going to change that as we build the program in terms of who we recruit, the region we recruit. We want to recruit a lot in our backyard. We want to have kids in this program that understand the meaning of representing Florida State. So very politely before the game, I reminded our guys the significance of these moments of playing against Miami, a rivalry, even if they didn't grow up in this region, how important it is to take care of business, and not just against Miami every night, but a little something extra against Miami. And the cool thing about our staff is we have a lot of Florida State guys that either, Gerald Gillian, who you guys are going to hear from later in the show, graduated from Florida State, obviously myself, Derwin Kitchen, Justin Linder, go down the list, Perrin Foote. We have a ton of guys that have represented Florida State at different times in their career, both on support staff roles and on the team. So they understood the meaning of playing in these games against Miami, and we very politely and delicately reminded our players how important it is to give their absolute best effort against teams like Miami.
Representing the brand, that name on the front of your jersey more so than the name on the back. I mean, especially in a game like that. I like how you put it. Delicately reminded them. I wish I was a fly on the wall for this pregame speech, getting everybody fired up. But when you saw your guys come out and perform from the get-go the way that they did, what were some of the items that you liked the most that stood out to you about how your guys came out and brought that energy you wanted them to play with?
Yeah, going back earlier in the season, we were very inconsistent, not only with our effort, with our execution, with our game plan intensity, and more recently, even though we haven't finished the job, our preparation has been better. Our level of commitment to a competitive spirit night in and night out, and even in practices, has improved. That's a credit to our coaching staff, but also the character of the locker room. This team could have easily splintered throughout the season, and some of these losing streaks. But even a blind person can see the progression that this team has had the last few games, and now it was time to finish the job. And to their credit, they came out with an intensity for 40 minutes. It was one of our most complete defensive performances as a coach, which is what you want to see. Everyone talks about our offense and how fast we play and how many threes we shoot. At the end of the day, you got to guard. And you got to get stops and you got to get rebounds, or the offense, the makes and misses don't matter. And there were times throughout the season where I didn't feel like we had a level of dedication to our defense, and that's been our focus the last few weeks. I hope our fans and our following can see that focus. It's a great night to hear from Gerald and some of the things we've been working on defensively, but. We won that game against Miami on defense, and they're a high-scoring offense, putting up mid-80s in points. They were one of the best transition teams in the ACC, and to me, there was an absolute focus from our locker room for all 40 minutes to get stops, to fight on the boards against a really big physical team, and then let the offense take care of itself.
Yeah, we're really going to get into the defense throughout the game last night, and Gerald Gillian, who is the defensive coordinator for this Florida State basketball team, will join us a little bit later on in the show. Can't wait to hear from him. Alex Steen also on the program in this program tonight. That's coming up later on in the show, so the Steener will stop by on Inside Seminole Basketball. To your point, Miami averaging 86.1 points per game coming in, held to 63, and the top team in the ACC shooting 51% on average from the field. Last night, just 42% and only 25% from behind the three-point line. So, as you talked about there, Coach, the defense really got it going, and we're going to dive into those statistics a little bit later on here in the show. Time now for our truest hero of the game, and I tell you what, Robert McCray V on Tuesday night came out, and he took things to an entirely another level with the way he was able to go out and take the ball to the basket, and coming off of a game where he would tell you he didn't play his best game against Wake Forest, he came out and did everything that Luke Laux and his staff have asked him to do, and then some. And at the end of the game, with the ball in his hands, got to the free throw line and clutch free throws. Ice water in his veins with 1.7 seconds to play to give Florida State a 65-63 win. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and did it, Coach, on the defensive end of the floor. Career-high 3 blocks in this game on Tuesday night as well from Rob.
Yeah, the thing about Rob is you said it wasn't his best game. That might have been the worst performance I've ever seen, to put it delicately again. And Rob would say he was very disappointed in the way he played against Wake Forest because that was a winnable game. Yeah. Now, the awesome part about Rob and our team is he didn't lose any confidence. No one in that locker room lost confidence in what he brings to the table, and certainly our coaching staff. And that's why even – in a rough moment, a lot of people will probably disagree with this decision, I kept playing and I kept going to him. Because first and foremost, I want to see what he was made of. And he had a rough night. And even at the end of the game, I put the ball in his hands to see if he could get it done. And he attacked that rim. Now, he missed a shot, but he attacked that rim with all-out pursuit against Wake Forest. And to me, that confidence, not only in our staff and him, but the locker room and the confidence in himself, helped us go down and win that Miami game. Yeah. And people will talk about the 20 points, and it was impressive. He distributed well. What I was most impressed with was his defense. He was facing up with Trey Donaldson, who is a Tallahassee kid, wanted to have a big game against his hometown team. And, Trey is a heck of a player. Oh, yeah. He's been one of the ACC's best guards this season in terms of how he scores and how he leads and how he produces. And in the second half, he was 0 for 7 with 0 points. And for Rob to be his primary defender, and a lot of guys were on him. Thomas Basong did a great job. Our switching defense, there were a lot of different guys. But down the stretch, Rob was guarding Trey, one of the best guards in the ACC, consistently, while also producing on the offensive end, which to me shows the type of character and what Rob's made of. Yep,
outstanding performance. Robert McCray V, our truest hero of the game. When you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. So start feeling like it today. Visit Truist.com/care. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering and care. Truist Bank, member FDIC. As we are live here on Wednesday night at Glory Days Grill in Tallahassee, of course, our host location of Inside Seminole Basketball. And stop by Wednesday nights during the season, 7 to 8 p.m. for an all-star selection of food, drinks, and to hear from Florida State basketball players and staff. Just getting started. Got a great crowd on hand here at Glory Days Grill coming out to see Florida State men's basketball here tonight as it rolls down Miami. We'll talk about that and more. What defensive effort last night. We'll talk to Luke Laux about that when we return. We are back after this timeout live from Glory Days in Tallahassee.
This is Inside Seminole Basketball. Let's rejoin the coach with Jeff Culhane.
Back in on a Wednesday night. Great to be with you, Noles fans. Welcome back into Inside Seminole Basketball, live from Glory Days Grill here in Tallahassee. Luke Laux and company with the win last night on the road at Miami, beating them 65-63. Coach, you talked about defense, and I want to highlight specifically your second half defensive effort. It was all good last night, but second half, you take a look at some of the numbers that your group was able to hold a high-powered Miami offense to, held them to 29% shooting from the field, 1 of 9 from 3 in the game, and Miami only scored 26 second-half points. That's the lowest second-half output of the season by Miami all year long, and doing that on their home floor. And it shows your guys, with Coach Gillian leading the charge, how locked in they were with what you wanted them to do all night.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game plan going into the game. Miami tortures you with, first off, with their transition offense, and then second off, the way they attack the rim and attack the paint. They have so much size, so much length, athleticism, physicality. They weren't a great shooting team. And so one of our goals is always to protect the paint, but it was almost a double goal going into last night in terms of not only our ball containment, but the way we wanted to shift, and our gap defense is called the shift, and we wanted to sit in those shifts and force one pass away all night long. Yeah. And it really messes with a team that wants to get downhill. They want to get to the basket, and then they want to beat you up with their size. One of Gerald's many one-liners that I've been picking up is prevention is better than cure. And that's a good line just for life. And that's when I got around him, I heard that line, I started losing weight because I think my blood sugar was high. But defensively, you don't want to always be in a scramble and then try to fix the problem later.
Sure.
You want to prevent the problems before they happen. And to our guys' credit, in the locker room, they took that game plan and they went out there and executed for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's very tough for a team to score in a way that they're not used to scoring. And we did a very good job, not only not allowing them to get to the paint, get to the rim, but when they did occasionally, for the most part, we didn't foul. And that's been two of our issues throughout the year is not only are they getting there and they're scoring on us, when they get there and they don't score on us, we foul them. And it does two things. It gives the opponent one of the most effective shots in basketball, the free throw. It's unguarded. Most guys can make it.
Yeah.
And not only that, it slows down our offense because it's impossible to run against a free throw.
Yeah.
You got to take the ball out of bounds. Their defense is set. And I thought both of those areas we did a really good job executing last night within our paint defense and not fouling down the stretch.
Sit in those gaps like you talked about. Communication always important on the defensive end of the floor. I know that's something you've been just asking your guys, hey, talk to each other. Let your guy know what's going on, especially in screen and roll situations. How much more of a talking point was that in last night's game against a group that wants to get inside the three-point line more than they want to stand outside of it?
Yeah, communication is our first principle defensively, and it's probably been one of our weakest points throughout the year. This generation, and not to sound like the old guy because I realize I'm still a young guy myself, but this generation struggles talking to each other and communicating effectively. Sometimes I want to give our guys 5 phones on the court so they can all text each other what's going on. And it is awkward for younger kids to not only communicate but do it early, loud, and continuous throughout a game. At times I feel like our communication's okay, and at times they're silent. And defensively, you have to talk to each other. You have to let your teammate know it's coming, especially with how much we switch. Our switching defense is ineffective if you don't communicate and you don't do it aggressively. And last night, if not our best, I thought it was one of our best games in terms of our communication and our overall urgency and aggressiveness every single possession.
Yeah, 12 steals in the game as well by Florida State. That's tied for the most by any team in the league in an ACC game this season. And doing it against Miami, that was also tied for the most allowed by the Hurricanes in any game they had played this season. So the numbers speak for themselves in a big-time way, and defensive effort was absolutely outstanding, holding down Miami in that win last night. As our program is brought to you in part by Carver's Discount Cleaners. They are mean on stains and green on earth. Try new Eco Green Dry Cleaning at Carver's Discount Cleaners, 1242 North Monroe Street in Midtown. And we got some Seminole boosters in the crowd tonight, don't we? Some great folks from the Seminole boosters as well. We appreciate everybody coming in, their support of Florida State men's basketball. Did you know that FSU Athletics self-supported is not funded by tax dollars? We rely on fans like you to join Seminole boosters so your teams have the best chance to succeed on and off the court. Membership starts at $5 per month and comes with great benefits. Go online to SeminoleBoosters.com to learn more. Coming up, it's been a total team effort for Luke Laux' squad. The bench has been able to come through in a big-time way. We'll talk with Coach about how his guys continue to thrive in their many different roles. That and more coming up live from Glory Days Grill in Tallahassee. We're back after this timeout.
From the coach coming up on Inside Seminole Basketball.
Luke Laux and his Florida State basketball team winners on Tuesday night over Miami at the Watsco Center, 65-63, and 15 of the last 16 in that series have gone the way of the Noles. Talking about that win last night here tonight on the program. Also, we'll look ahead as we head to Dallas to take on SMU, our first trip to Moody Coliseum coming up on Saturday, a 4 p.m. Eastern tip. As our program is brought to you in part by Wolfson Children's Hospital. Odds are beaten here at Wolfson Children's. Always here, official children's hospital of Florida State Athletics. And your bench coach, we're going to get into that here coming up momentarily. Your guys, as you have moved some things around with roles and the starting lineup, guys have taken that head on and done a great job. But before we get to that, we have a special announcement to make right here, right now on Inside Seminole Basketball, and I'm going to let you, Coach, take it away.
Kobe Laux, my now 6-year-old today. Happy birthday to Kobe.
Kobe.
Come on up. In her birthday dress.
Look
I
at
don't know
that.
where her mom found this thing, but it is beautiful. You want to wave to everyone and say hi? Can everyone say happy birthday to Kobe? All right. I love you.
There we go.
Okay, go.
6 years old. She forgot the cake. She forgot the cake.
No,
Coach.
we have cake waiting on us at home, and
boy.
she somehow negotiated ice cream on the way home.
Wow.
If she eats this too, she's not going to sleep tonight. So this is yours.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday to Jeff.
Well, thank you very much. Happy birthday to me, everybody. Oh, boy, that's
There we go.
I don't need that right now, that's for sure. Happy birthday to Kobe Laux. She's already ahead of the game with double cake and ice cream.
That's right.
On the way home. All right, your bench has been ahead of the game here at ACC Play, Coach. All 6 games, everybody, the Florida State bench has outscored the opposition. So regardless of what the starting lineup has looked like as you've tried to get the competition level ratcheted up in practice, you got guys coming off your bench that are ready to go and ready to go out and execute the game plan the way you want them to. Kind of talk me through that as you've tried to find that right mix of 5 on the floor throughout ACC play.
Yeah, obviously we've had some tough spots throughout this season, and as a coach and the leader of the program, you can't sit back and allow those things to continue. And it was nothing on an individual level, but we were trying to find different groups and different units that worked well together, and we were trying to find a certain level of defense and competitive spirit among those groups. And so we feel like right now we have multiple guys who should be starters and could be starters that are coming off the bench. I see your eye in that cake.
I can't stop looking at it. It looks so good.
You can take a bite.
Man,
I'll buy you time.
I'm thinking
if you
about
need to take a
it.
bite.
Yeah.
But we have multiple guys that would probably start for a lot of programs now coming off the bench, and it reminded me a little bit of some of Coach Hamilton's teams. If you look back at some of his best teams, we had throughout the year 8, 9 different starters, and sometimes it'd be the older guys, sometimes it'd be the younger guys, and even going on to the years after, much further after I played here, you had guys like Scotty Barnes coming off the bench, and it creates some real problems for opponents.
Pat Williams.
Pat Williams. You had multiple lottery picks as youngsters coming off the bench, and it creates real issues for opponents because they're bringing in their subs, which are usually their second-tier players, and you're bringing on your bench, but they're quote-unquote starters. And so our guys have done a really good job in terms of buying into putting the team first. Everyone wants to start. Everyone wants to hear their name called in the starting lineup. But sometimes to win games, you have to go outside the box a little bit. And so that's what we're doing. We're starting Thomas Basong, who is a freshman. He's still learning all aspects of the game, but he's giving so much effort. He gives you 100% of everything he has every game. And defensively, it's given us a real advantage because he's 6'8" and long and athletic, and he can match up with anyone on the floor. If he gets switched onto a big, he can battle. If he gets switched onto a guard, he can move laterally. And Thomas, for most teams at this level, would probably come out the bench right now as a freshman. But not only has he done such a good job starting, his teammates around him have done such a good job supporting him in a level up from where he probably should be. And it's been great for our team in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. By the way, I know what we're doing with this now.
What's that?
Tucker Pierce is our director tonight. It's his birthday as well. He turns 30 years old. And so I'm going to give this to you, Tuck.
There we go.
There you go.
Happy birthday,
Tuck.
Tuck.
Happy birthday. So Kobe Laux and Tucker Pierce, forever connected by birthday cake on Inside Seminole Basketball, live from Glory Days in Tallahassee. On that note, time now for our Scott and Wallace keys to success for the rest of the week as we get ready for SMU. We got back late last night. Maybe probably, I would imagine, a day off today for the guys in some way, shape, or form. And now we get ready for a Mustangs team that is playing pretty well this season.
Yeah, the boys had a day off. What's great about a day off is, as a coach, to see a lot of these guys still come in. They get treatment, they get shots, they work on their free throws, work on their bodies, their games. Our staff did not have a day off. We were in the office for quite some time, and a few of them reminded me that they promised their wives they had to pick up the kids from school. So some of our meetings got cut short, but we had some really productive sessions today as a coaching staff, both on SMU, on what we can clean up from our previous game, and starting to dive in. And this is where you got to kind of work ahead and segment your season, starting to dive in to some conversations to the offseason of what the portal is going to look like, what our schedule is going to look like, how we're dividing up different conferences. Starting to scout around the country from guys that could end up in the portal. Yeah. And that's always a tricky thing. So you got to focus on the season. But if you don't start doing that, you're so far behind by the time the portal opens. So we watched some film on not only our recruits that are coming in, how we're going to build our roster moving forward, but it was a really good session for our coaching staff to go through. And within that, obviously touched a lot on SMU and what we're going to face. The tricky thing before this game even starts, which I know you're aware of now, our travel plans have shifted because in a historic way, Dallas is about to get hit with a snowstorm. And when Dallas gets hit with a snowstorm, everything freezes over. Just their infrastructure isn't worth preparing their city, similar to what they call it, Atlanta get-in a few years ago. When it snows in some of these places, they're just not ready for it. So the airlines called us, the ACC called us. We've been in constant communication. We thought about rescheduling the game. That's how serious it is. But we're going to fly out. We're going to fly out a day early. So we're going to leave tomorrow. So that was part of our meetings, the logistics of traveling early and making sure that we have the hotel set up, the meeting spaces, practice, where we're going to practice. And how we're going to get around the city when all the roads are frozen.
Right.
And so those are all tricky things that have nothing to do with the game, but can cost you a game if they're not planned out, and then you have chaos once you land. We're still looking forward to go to Dallas, but it's not going to be sunny Texas. No. It's going to be frozen. And the thing we have to remain and regain our team's focus, because now everything shifts, and sometimes your focus goes from the game to all your issues.
Yeah.
And making sure these guys that are 18 to 22, 23 years old, you have one focus, and that's to go in to Dallas and beat SMU. Yeah. And I think our coaching staff does a really good job making sure our guys have the right approach to all these games.
Yep. Shout out to your ops staff on that as well today. Perrin Foot, Kelly Nielsen, your chief of staff here, Ryan Schneider, assistant ops here as well for the work they put in today, making that logistically all happen for your team. Scott and Wallace, keys to success. Scott and Wallace, the official injury lawyers of Florida State Athletics. Scott and Wallace with offices in Tallahassee. Coming up next on Inside Seminole Basketball, two guys that have continued to develop in their game. We talked about them last week. Martin Somerville and Leger Jones. Martin last night stealing it. Leger continues to rebound that thing. We'll talk about those two and more when we come back live from Glory Days here in Tallahassee. We are back after this timeout.
Here is Jeff Culhane.
Luke Laux and his Florida State basketball team grab win number 1 in ACC play on Tuesday night, looking to make it number 2 on the road Saturday at SMU. That's a 4 p.m. Eastern tip as the Noles get ready to take on the Mustangs from SMU. And, Coach, two guys, and all your guys have gotten involved, but we've talked a lot about Martin Somerville and Leger Jones with the way they can score. Last night, they helped out offensively, but, man, Martin in the first half, his defensive effort, the guy – he was like nose tackle in there, all over the floor, underneath the bodies, screaming at people. He had 4 steals in the first half. And Leger Jones continues to crash the glass, our top rebounder in ACC play right now at 6.3 rebounds a game. Those guys are doing some dirty work for you at this point in the season.
Yeah, those are two guys to me that right now with their play, they're again, one of our values, putting the team first. They're putting the team first. I've brought Leger off the bench. I brought Martin off the bench. They've both started. They're both good enough to be starters for us. But they're doing whatever it takes to win games right now. And sometimes that's not all the pretty stuff. That's the dirty work. Yeah. And Martin especially, he's not the best defender in terms of just his size and athleticism. He's a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, he scraps with the best of them. His hands are incredible. His anticipation is really good. His help side positioning is really good. And he can read the play. defensively, and that's been really helpful for us. He's usually one of our top 2 or 3 guys game in and game out in terms of his deflections, getting his hand on the ball, and it's because of his awareness. And then Lejay, as you mentioned, he had some tough moments earlier in the season where he wasn't scoring and it was affecting everything else. It was affecting his attitude, it was affecting his spirit, and his teammates did a great job reminding Lejay there's so much more to basketball than just scoring the ball.
Yeah.
And you see it now with Lejay. I don't know how many he even scored last game, maybe just 3 or 5 points, and he's capable of going from 15 to 20 on every night. But he's made up his mind that the one area he can really impact our team and the one area we really need help with is rebounding. Yeah. And he has the size, the athleticism, and the urgency in terms of just his motor that he can go get 8 to 10 rebounds every night. And he's just got to make up his mind to do it. And so far in ACC play, he and Steen, who you guys are going to hear from, have been probably 2 of our most consistent rebounders, and it's really helped us stay close in a lot of these games.
Yeah, Lejay Jones, 3 points last night, but 9 rebounds. He also had 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals, and he's going up against Renew and Uday, guys that are 6'9", 6'10". Uday 6'11", 270, and Lejay is sticking his nose right in there. And he's playing with a physicality of a guy that's 260, 265 pounds.
And that's what you need from not just Lejay, from all of our team, because we're at any given game, especially when you get deep into ACC play, we're going to be outsized at times. Some of these teams just have some big boys, and they got a lot of muscle and a lot of strength, and they got some size on us, but that doesn't mean you can't fight with them.
Yeah.
Another one-liner that G consistently brings up is they bleed just like us, and it doesn't matter how big they are, it doesn't matter how strong they are. If you hit them hard enough, they're going to bleed, and that's what Lejay's doing right now, and he's getting in there and battling in the trenches against guys that might have a few pounds and a few inches on them. He doesn't care, and listen, every ball is a 50-50 ball, and if you work hard enough, those 50-50 odds go to 70-30 your way, and that's what Lejay's doing right now.
In his last 3 games, Lejay Jones, 8.7 rebounds per game for the young man at a Neptune Beach, and making it happen in a lot of different ways for the Noles right now. As our program brought to you in part by Truist, when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. So start feeling like it today. Visit Truist.com/care. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Truist Bank, member FDIC. Coming up, a further dive into SMU, who is led by somebody that Coach Laux knows very, very well in Andy Enfield. We'll talk about the Mustangs and more when we come back here at Glory Days in Tallahassee. Back after this timeout.
This is Inside Seminole Basketball.
Hey, Luke Laux and his Florida State basketball team now turn their attention to SMU Saturday afternoon, Moody Coliseum in Dallas. That's a 4 p.m. Eastern tip, getting ready for the Mustangs. It's our opponent preview segment brought to you by FRLA, as SMU won at Wake Forest last night, 91-79, 14-5, 3-3 in ACC play. Coacher, and led by Andy Enfield, who was an assistant coach on Leonard Hamilton's staff while you were a player here at Florida State University. That's going to be a fun, I'm sure, interesting setup, looking across the way and seeing someone that coached you during his time at FSU. We got a picture of the 09-10 FSU men's basketball team right here.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that one, huh?
Andy is an incredible coach. He actually led the recruiting efforts to bring me to Florida State. So he would come down to Clearwater High School quite often. His way of recruiting me was to take me out to the tennis courts and just work me on the tennis courts. I didn't play much tennis, and he loved playing tennis. I'm like, Andy, are you recruiting me or am I recruiting you?
Right,
we shouldn't be doing your hobbies.
Yes.
But he's a great coach, great basketball mind. Obviously, took those Florida Gulf Coast teams with a lot of former Florida State staff members, including one of ours, Michael Fly, and down at Florida Gulf Coast, took them to a Sweet 16. Was very successful at USC and is now doing a really, really good job at SMU. Also, his staff has tons of other guys that we're close with, and so I'm very, very happy for him, and I'll wish him the best of luck in every game except the 2 times we play him.
That's right.
I'm excited to compete against an old coach of mine. It's always a cool full circle moment. We've already had some of those in competing against John Shire, who I compete against as a player. It'll be a little bit different competing against someone who not only recruited you but coached you.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping we don't get snowed in Dallas, but if we do, I'm going to find my way to Andy Enfield's house and welcome myself to his pantry.
I like that's a good idea right there. Coach, before we let you go, just final thoughts now on the rest of the week and the focus of your team now, taking that win from Miami and building on it on the road in Dallas on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that was our message after the game, and obviously our guys were excited about winning, rightfully so. We've gone through some low lows this year, and to get it done, especially in a close game against a rival, was very exciting for them. They were celebrating as they should. We tried to quickly regain their focus, and we're going to again tomorrow in practice, that you can't be satisfied. You can't be satisfied with one win. Not to pour cold water on a win, but we're 1-5 in the ACC, and that's not good enough. And now we have some games coming up that are winnable if we continue to play with the effort and execution that we played with against Miami. Yeah. And so, like I said, you can't be satisfied. We got to get back to work, and we're playing against another really good team in SMU. They're a top 30 team in the country. Yeah. They beat some really good teams this year, and it takes a consistent focus and a consistent approach. Not just a win, just to have a chance in these games. And that's what our young men need to understand. I think they do understand that if you don't have that approach, you're gonna be embarrassed. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, we're a process over results team, because we know the process usually takes care of those results. But winning is a lot better than losing.
Yes.
And they should, that taste in their mouth from the Miami game you shouldn't be satisfied. Should fuel you to work even harder. Should fuel you in your preparation for all of these games, starting with SMU coming up.
Yep, Coach, can't wait to see it. Congratulations on the win Tuesday night, and best of luck this week getting ready.
I appreciate it.
So, head coach Luke Laux, everybody stopping by here on Inside Seminole Basketball. That's our FRLA opponent preview segment. FRLA, proud to support FSU athletics, bringing unmatched rivalry and heart-pumping competition to the Big Bend region. Sporting events boost the local economy, filling hotel rooms, restaurant tables, and creating unforgettable experiences for residents and visitors alike. To learn more about Florida's hospitality industry and the events we support, visit frla.org. Coming up, he has been crashing the glass, has he not, all season long? Alex Steen will stop by our main table. Steener on the way when we come back. We are back after this timeout.
Here is Jeff Cohane.
Well, our next guest has been a fun addition to the Florida State men's basketball program this year, with his heart, his energy, and his relentlessness, especially on the glass. He's an in-state product, and, man, he's a Knoll through and through right now. Please give it up, Panama City Beach's own Alex Steen, everyone. Steener, great to have you. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be on the show and here in front of all the supporters. Yeah. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations on last night. How much did that game, that win, mean to you guys to break through, get a W? And I'd have to imagine it was a pretty fun locker room afterwards as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like Coach Laux said earlier, it was huge. We've been right there. We've had some ups and downs throughout the season, and we were right there in a couple of them that we thought we could have had. So to get it done and on the road against Miami too, it's huge. So locker room after was definitely kind of a just let out emotions a little bit for a minute. But I think like Coach mentioned earlier, we're not satisfied with just this one. So obviously going to Dallas and that'll be the next kind of challenge. So yeah, celebrated it for a little bit, but now I think we're kind of on to the next one.
Steener, one of the things I've noticed out of you, been able to watch you at practice, you are one of the more vocal guys on this team, and I feel like you've taken that upon yourself to maybe put yourself out there a little bit and get the guys going when they need to get going. Got to tell everybody about how you kind of put that on your shoulders as a leader and an old guy on this basketball team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you kind of mentioned it too, right? Just being that older guy. When I came in and I was a freshman, sophomore, it was always the seniors, the older guys who were, just being vocal and trying to lead and lead by example. So I think kind of, now as a senior, and I kind of take that role upon myself, and I think it just kind of brings the squad energy, just in general in practice and in games, whatever it is. Just Coach said earlier, the more talk, the better. Communication's obviously huge for us. So I think, it's kind of a chain reaction thing when I start talking, others do too. So, I just kind of, sometimes when it's quiet, just make some noise, whatever it is, something's better than nothing. So, always just trying to get something going.
Alex Steen, 3.17 offensive rebounds per game. That's sixth best in all of the Atlantic Coast Conference this year. A relentless spirit on the glass. You're fighting down there. Kind of go through those battles. What you're thinking underneath battling some of the bigs?
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously sometimes I'm a little outsized down there. I know, like Coach said earlier, there's some big boys, but he gave the Coach G bar. They bleed just like us. So that's kind of part of it. Just keep going. And I think that's kind of just the motto for me in general is just keep going. It could bounce the wrong way, take a couple extra bounces. Just always being relentless and staying with it will, it'll land, kind of just fall in your hands a lot of times when just by giving some effort. So and especially in film and stuff, coaches are always on us, just effort. It's all about effort, and it's crazy how when you do give some effort, things just happen to go right and kind of land right in your lap. So, that's kind of the big point for me is just keep going, even though I might get a elbow or two here and there, but, just keep going and keep pushing through, and eventually, they'll kind of fall in my hands.
You went to high school at Arnold High School in Panama City Beach, but originally from the Twin Cities area, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and you were a hockey player growing up on a pond behind your house, right?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Tell us about that.
Oh, man, 100%. And I say now because, like you said, I went to high school in Florida, so I'm kind of – a lot of the cold bloods it's left me now. But, I think I said I play hockey before I even played basketball, and that was, being from Minnesota. That's kind of just a thing. It's like you grow up and everyone plays hockey up there, and, obviously having a lake in the backyard always was kind of fun. Every winter it'd freeze over and go down. But I think maybe that's kind of, where I got some of the toughness from because, for hockey, I wasn't fighting like they do in the pros at that age when I was younger. But, it's still, you get roughed up in hockey too. And, even to this day, obviously there's not too many ice rinks down here in Florida, but, sometimes in the future, if there is, I don't think I'll ever lose, the ability to skate and my confidence in it. So, no, that was obviously, I think a huge part in just being tough and playing hockey up there, though, is kind of like just assumed.
It all makes sense now. You rebound like a hockey player out there. I love it. Well, I tell you what. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir.
It's fun watching you play, and thanks so much for the time, Alex.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you, guys.
There you go. That's Alex Steen, everybody, our student-athlete segment presented by Seminole Boosters. Coming up, Gerald Gillian's going to love the defense he's seen over the last couple of games. Coach G joins us as more on the other side. We are back after this timeout.
From Glory Days Grill, this is Inside Seminole Basketball.
Gerald Gillian with us here at our main table, live from Glory Days Grill in Tallahassee. Can't wait to hear from Coach G momentarily, as our program brought to you in part by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. Here to remind you that if alcohol is in the mix, driving is not. Plan ahead. Designated driver. Grab a ride share or stay put. Winning starts with smart choices. Drive sober, arrive alive. Go Noles. And by Mark Lowe's team at Grassroots Coffee. Order 6-man blend, the coffee that supports Florida State basketball. And scan that QR code on the screen right now or go to grassrootscoffee.com. Made for everyone, loved everywhere. Coach G, little 6-man blend. Take it home. What do you think?
No problem.
Let's go.
I got you.
Let's go. Give it up for Gerald Gillian, everybody. Running the Florida State defense, of course, scouting, recruiting, the all-encompassing. Man, the last two games, you have to be fired up about your guys' defensive effort overall. What stood out to you, Coach, about how you guys have executed on that end of the floor?
Oh, man, I tell Coach all the time, like, I know we have our standards, but I think with our standards, you have to have two things. You have to be tough and you have to be disciplined. And after we played NC State, I wanted to go to Crawfordville and just, take a swim with the alligators for a little bit and see how that worked out.
Yeah.
And the last 2 games, we've really, been tough and we've been disciplined and, we've been able to get some stops on the other end of the basketball court.
What were you most happy with about the defensive effort last night and the win over Miami?
Just the multiple efforts. A lot of times, especially when guys get tired, they say cowards. They say fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Yeah.
And our guys were just able to push through throughout fatigue, and those multiple efforts just came through in the end. Like we ended the game, I want to say on like 2 or 3 stops before they had a phantom foul at the end, but
a whole lot of contact there. Yeah, I'm with you, Coach. Yeah,
but I thought like the multiple efforts and the guys were just like they didn't fall into fatigue.
Yeah, Gerald Gillian also prior to coming to Florida State, the head coach at Chicago State from 2021 to 2024. That's a tough job, and you went there and elevated that basketball program and did excellent things there. How did that experience as a head coach at Chicago State help you with Coach Laux and this staff in working and being a guy that's been in that chair before for a first-time head guy?
Just having a good idea of what the head coach wants. Like my job is to be supportive in any way possible and almost act like a bulletproof vest. Try to protect him for things that, he don't foresee in terms of recruiting, just building relationship with players, all of those things. I try to take as many things off of his plate as possible. And, because that's what I wanted as a head coach. Like, when you see a problem, fix the problem.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to do that for him, just take care of those little things.
Yeah, absolutely. SMU, the opponent on Saturday afternoon in Dallas, 4 p.m. Eastern tip. I don't know if you have a chance to dig into the Mustangs a ton yet, but this is a squad: Boopy Miller, B.J. Edwards, Jerome Pierre. Guys can get to the bucket a little bit, those 3.
Yeah, and I tell our guys all the time, the job is what the job is. We got to go and do the job. We got to lock down defensively. We got to be scout-focused. And, God willing, we can come out of there with a win.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tall task with Boopy Miller, but I think we just got to be physical, take the fight to him from the beginning. It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah.
Really good show.
Yeah.
We're gonna score the ball a little bit too.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see that. That is for sure. We got about 30 seconds left with you, Coach, here at our main table, and Jared Gillian with us here on the program. FSU alum of 2008. What's Florida State University mean to you right now in your career?
Oh, man. Since 2002, I used to stay home from practice to watch the Seminoles play, man. I've always been a huge fan. Used to come to the games. I stormed the court when we beat the University of Florida when they was on that national
There you go.
So, like, I'm Florida State. When you cut me, I bleed garnet and gold. So, like, I'm locked in. I'm so blessed to have an opportunity, and, good things is going to come.
Yep, I tell you what, your group defensively has been solid. They're just continuing to get better, which has to make you excited about what you see with that group. Coach, I tell you what, thanks so much for everything you're doing. Can't wait to watch this group on Saturday. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's Coach G. We're going to do a Coach G segment with his one-liners, I think, at some point later on in the year. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of Inside Seminole Basketball. Big thanks to Gerald Gillian, to Alex Dean, of course, to the head coach Luke Laux, and happy birthday to Kobe Laux here on the show today. We'll talk to you Saturday at SMU in Dallas, a 4 p.m. Eastern tip. By the way, no show next Wednesday as we play Cal inside the Tucker Center. My name is Jeff Colhane. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great night, everybody. And as always, go Noles!